If it has a score, we cover it more. From football to lacrosse, hockey to baseball, we've got what you want. Welcome to the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, good morning, Canada. Happy Football Friday. Welcome to your favorite sports show. The best damn sports show is on the air. And it's a special treat for everybody because we got John Frenzy, Hall of Fame rider broadcaster, right here in the bunker with us. How are you, Frenzy?
I'm doing great, Rod.
All right. I love it.
Beautiful day in beautiful downtown Regina, eh?
Isn't it nice?
Absolutely gorgeous. And it's nice here. It's fabulous.
I was leaving the house this morning, and this lady said to me, my neighbor, she yells over, she goes, I hope you're going to enjoy this beautifully calm day today. Because it's been gale force winds here all summer and spring. And I said, actually, I'm going to be inside for most of the day, unfortunately. So you go enjoy it. We got the RP show on right now, and then the SJHL draft later on at 1 o'clock. Hence, the SJHL jacket. It's going to be a quick change right from here over to the soundstage to broadcast and host the SJHL draft. I'm excited about that. People are writing in. They said, Tyler Dacu, viewing already, says, I was shocked at Dupe's appearance at first. Darren, you've aged. Dupes is over on the, he's on the apron. See you later, Paul.
Bye, Paul.
Paul's getting a very important phone call.
Paul's an important guy.
He's a mover and a shaker.
Darn what he is.
Paul had to take a call, so he's left. Adam Stewart checking in from Theodore, Saskatchewan. He says, good morning from the sprayer. Glad the wind died down.
Oh,
especially for a guy running a sprayer.
That's for sure.
Which my dad used to do, by the way. He was a crop duster. Did you ever know that?
No.
My dad flew a plane.
Did everything.
My dad did absolutely everything.
I've ever seen, you haven't either, like winds of 80, 90, and 100 kilometers.
Never saw them? Saw them last week. I golfed in it.
How'd you do?
Terrible, but I always golf terrible, so it didn't matter. I still say it's better than rain. That was at Deer Valley.
Oh, my goodness.
We should have Dupes on the air. See, when are we going to get back to 2 chairs? Do we know? Monday? June 8th? Can you turn that off, Paul? Thank you. Paul's back.
Thank you guys so much.
We got a really big show for you today. I have not yet shared it, so I'm going to have to go on and share. Have you guys all shared it? Obviously, Paul has. John Frenzy here. Sportsnet's Arash Madani will be joining us to talk about CFL, NFL, racial unrest in America because he's had a lot of thoughts on that. We're looking forward to that chat. Mike Kelly, a longtime friend of ours and a big football name. 2 tours of duty with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He was the quarterback's coach or offensive assistant with the NFL's Philadelphia Eagles in the Donovan McNabb era. He's going to be with us from Florida today. Morley Scott, the voice of the Edmonton Eskimos, and one of, if not the greatest Winnipeg Blue Bombers of all time, Milt Stegall, will be joining us. Hashtag paper plates from Atlanta, Georgia, now from the CFL on TSN. Lynch, I'm going to get into the quick 6 show topics here that we always do. I'm going to let you take this over while I share the show to all my Facebook friends.
Of course.
So point 1 of our quick 6 show topics here in the rollout. For Flooring Superstore, the leader post reporting that the Saskatchewan Roughriders lost $200,000 in the fiscal year of 2019. They've lost $200,000. You, as a member of the Old Boys Club, you might have put that together, actually. You're the founding member of it. What do you think of the Riders losing $200,000?
Don't know how they did it. Very surprised at that. They had some great years before that. It should have continued. I don't know what happened, how they could have lost $200,000. Unless they've given $400 away or $700 away to Montreal and Toronto. That's all I can think of because they had good attendance. They had good attendance last year. I mean, sloppiness, I guess. I don't know. Hard to figure.
Keep talking. I'm still sharing.
Yeah, well, I mean, up till then, the previous 3 years after we opened the stadium, great attendance, eh? Record attendance, and things were going along great. Well, that's what I'm saying. Going along great. We're going to be absolutely fantastic this year. Paul Jones is getting some great players for us. We're going to have the Grey Cup here. It's going to be spectacular. Things have all come crashing down, but I think being where the kind of people we are in Saskatchewan will just get up off the floor and get even tougher. Because historically, that's what we've done. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Producer Clark is telling me in my ear, can you just pull the microphone in closer to you, Frenzy? I didn't think you actually needed a microphone, but Clark is telling me that you do. So here's my take as we just spent a little time on this. because it is the Saskatchewan market. That's where the whopping majority of our viewers are. I don't have a tremendous amount of faith in the numbers at this time of year. Never have. Been covering this team since the 90s. It's somewhat of a shell game, Lynch. You've got to agree with that.
Yeah.
So I don't believe everything that I hear. Never really have. No. But they did finish first place last year, which is pretty rare. This is only the third time since 1970 that it happened.
Night time in history.
Yeah. So the attendance revenue, the ticket revenue was slightly down. The merchandise sales was down. The sponsorships were up. Yeah. So thank you to the business community. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. They finished first place, host to West final. I guess the point is there was a time they made so much money that they could withstand transfer payments to other teams that need it, like they did with the Alouettes. Yeah. And obviously the money that they spent on the Grey Cup and then it being postponed is, like you say, and I will say, a kick in the junk. So $200,000 loss. Here's the scary thing. As we sit here on the precipice of whether there will be CFL football or not in 2020, and none of us know. Maybe you have some thoughts. We'll talk about that today. The Riders are considered the juggernaut of the CFL. Yeah. So if they are losing $200,000, what is everybody else doing across the CFL? And that was supposedly in a good year.
Yeah, supposedly in a good year. Boy, it's scary. This epidemic has really shook us up. We never dreamed something like that could happen in our lifetime, let alone what's happened to the Riders and sports in general. And this team is such a great football team, so well organized, really getting prepared for the Grey Cup this year. With a good football team, that's the part that bothers me. And to see what's happened, it can't happen, but it did. And
I'm sorry, Lynch, from our viewers, Carlos Lehena writes in and says, and this is before COVID-19 kicked in.
Right on.
Someone from a burner account, Too Fast, says Riders report shows $600,000 to Montreal and $500,000 for Grey Cup, so not a real loss for the Riders. What are you talking about?
I don't know how
That's like, we only lost by a goal, so it doesn't count. No. A loss is a loss, friend. Yeah. And as Jeff, the Stamps fan, writes in from Calgary, says, hard to square the $200,000 loss when Winnipeg made $3.5 million. They were sending the same transfer payments to the Montreal Alouettes.
And that's smaller crowds than we did.
Smaller crowds, and they went to the Grey Cup. There's actually a lot of added cost to that.
No kidding.
So it doesn't look good at all. Not really a loss. Really. You know what? The 2009 Grey Cup wasn't really a loss because they were winning when there was no time left on the clock.
Yeah.
Think of it that way. So we can kick that around and debate it for a while later on in the program. By the way, coming up, if you just joined us, Arash Madani, Mike Kelly. Looking forward to all these chats. Morley Scott and Milt Stiegel. It's supposed to be Friday Night Football tonight, Frenzy. You must have known that.
Of course. Heartbroken. I mean, what do? You got to watch the NFL, that's all.
Well, there's no NFL on tonight. Well, you're saying you got to watch the NFL Network. That's what you're going to do.
NFL Network, yeah. And that's the football. You got to watch NFL Network. Is it good football? Of course, it's great football. But it's not the same. You know what happened. In most of those games, I know what happened. I'm not trying to be smart, but I know what happened. But still, it's football. But it's starting to get silly, boy, when the season rolls around in particular, and we're supposed to have a home game here next week. It's going to hurt, boy. It's going to really hurt. First time in my lifetime I have that football this time of year.
You're not dealing with it well, are you?
No, I'm not dealing with it because it's the first time in my lifetime. That's scary as hell.
Yeah. Trent in Norway's watching. Says, Norway calling. Will the new Alouettes ownership reimburse the other 8 clubs?
No. Want a one-word answer? How about a one-word answer?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for asking, but not a chance. Actually, Frenzy and I, we got to have a name for this show, Darren, where we put a GoPro up on the dash of my car, the windshield, and video Lynch and I driving up here. Because that's when the real conversations happen.
That's right.
And we were talking about revenue sharing in the CFL. You understand when the commissioner says they lost $10 to $20 million in a good year, there is no revenue to be shared. You understand that, right? Collectively.
Sure.
But this is what ticks me off. And where a lot of Canadians are with funding the CFL. And look, we'll get to real football talk in a minute. But everything was rocking and rolling in Montreal. They were the model franchise for 20 years. Right. And then Bob Wedenall retires to his yacht in Florida, off the coast of Florida, gives the keys to his son.
Yeah. That often happens.
Oh, yeah. He's the CEO, the child of existing owner. He's got a PhD. Papa has dough.
Pile high and deep.
Yeah, that too. So why should the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Edmonton Eskimos have to pay for this kid's screw-ups? Tell me why.
He screws up, and they let him screw up and pay him out. They don't want it, but they get mad and figure, well, I guess we have to, otherwise we have no league. So Montreal's got him by the you-know-what, and that's too bad. I don't like that situation at all. Maybe we got to face the facts of life and just have a 6 or 7 team league. At one time we did, that's all we had. And face it with the Western teams and Hamilton and Ottawa on the East. And it would be a pretty good league probably. I mean, it's continually, every year. Hey,
Lynch is saying lop off the country in Hamilton.
Right.
Forget everywhere east of Hamilton, and that will be our CFL moving forward.
Right.
And you know what? You might not be wrong.
That's right.
I said that we would talk actual football here in a second. JR in Cranbrook says CFL needs help, but they need to reach out to the host cities and provinces, not just the feds. You're going to get a backlash there, too, from the people that aren't CFL fans. This is where I see it going. You know what? My conversations over the last week with Hall of Famers, current CFL players, coaches, and front office types, this is where it's going. It's going to come down to the CFL fans to save this league. And it's going to come down to that fundraiser. If you love the CFL, step up and show it.
Yep.
That's where it's going, folks. So
soon.
Just be prepared.
And react soon.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The guys that I'm talking to are like, where is the urgency? Not just, obviously, Randy Ambrosie's working his can off.
Yeah.
It's the people around him. Where are these campaigns to save the CFL? But
right.
Anyways, it's supposed to be Friday Night Football. So here's my question for you and for our viewers. Tonight, there's supposed to be 2 games, Winnipeg at Saskatchewan and Calgary at BC. Okay? Not a doubleheader. They wouldn't both be televised, but there are 2 games tonight, Winnipeg at Saskatchewan, Calgary at BC. We're going to run a simulation just like we did last week. And don't ask John, but it's a computer simulation of the game. We were hoping to broadcast that. It hasn't worked out. We got other things on the go, not the least of which is the SJHL draft today. But let me ask you this. Let's just pretend for a second. Lynch, are you okay with pretending?
Yes, I certainly am. I do a lot of that.
You do a lot of pretending? So if we went to Mosaic Stadium tonight, we had a tailgate party, right, Paul and Darren? We had our tailgate party at the Armory, selling a lot of beer, eating great Bond burgers. Then we go over to the game. How much should Cody Fajardo play for the Riders tonight? How much should James Frank the Tank Franklin play tonight?
Yeah.
And what do you expect we'll see from Zach Collaros coming in for the Bombers' second and final preseason game? How much would you play the guys tonight at the quarterback position?
Fajardo, 1 quarter. Franklin, 1 quarter. The other 2 quarterbacks, the rest of the game. If I'm in Winnipeg, Fajardo, first half, and the other 2 after that. That's McGuire and a guy they say by the name of
Sneed.
Sneed, and there's a guy named D. Brown there, too.
Okay.
That I don't know who he is. I've been trying to check him out at Oklahoma. Nobody's down there said he was ever there. I've talked to some contacts I have. Nobody knows who he is. The write-up they have on him is fantastic, but I don't know who he is. So realistically, their backup quarterback is Scott McGuire, who's played a bit. Great college career at Illinois State, but hasn't played it down, really, for all intents and purposes. So if anything happens to Collaros, the Bombers are in deep trouble.
Right.
Real trouble.
They know that. That's the gamble that they made by allowing Matt Nichols to walk.
Yep.
And let's just rewind back to when life was real good and we did not have a virus to worry about to this degree. Remember how much the Bombers agonized, or it seemed like they agonized, over signing Zach Collaros or Matt Nichols because they knew they couldn't keep both?
That's right.
So you're saying what again? How much should Zach Collaros play tonight for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here?
1.5.
You should get a half?
Yep.
How about this in football speak? He'll get a half, and then he'll start the third quarter. We'll give him 1 series, and then sit him down.
Might.
That's what I could see happening. So I put it on Twitter. How much should the Rider quarterbacks play tonight? PT, as I pointed it. An avalanche of response from people. And from what I see, and then media from all across the CFL saying, how are you doing this? Are you broadcasting this? There is a significant appetite for people to see a computer generation. I know you don't get it. Or do you?
No.
Yeah. I didn't think. It's still hella fun. And for the most part, from what I saw, it was 50-50. Give Cody Fajardo the first half, give Frank the Tank the second half. Here's what I would say. Don't play Cody Fajardo at all, even though he was 4 of 10 with a pick last week in the preseason in Calgary. Did you know that?
No.
It was just on the computer. I wouldn't play him at all. It's fun to talk about real football, isn't it?
Yeah,
even if it's
great.
not real.
It's great.
But I remember this. My very first ever broadcast in the Canadian Football League was a preseason game, 1999, Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Edmonton Eskimos, and Cal Murphy was the Riders' head coach. Cantankerous Cal, whose bark was far worse than his bite. Would you not agree?
No question about that.
Right. So here's me, a hockey guy, thrown into the deep end, not knowing crap from Shinola, and I asked, can I get the starting lineup at the very least? I don't think so. As this neck shook, Sometime overnight, this piece of paper was slid under my door in the hotel with not just the starters, but the quarter-by-quarter rotation of all numbers.
Really?
That's how much Cal wanted to help me out.
That's Cal.
As a young, yes, that's Cal for you.
I mean, he always said to me, Lynch, how are you? You look like $1 million. All green and wrinkled.
That's love, eh? That's love from Cal Murphy.
And he always said, Lynch, I think you got a long ways to go, but you should start right now.
He was a treasure.
Oh, he was.
Absolute treasure. And by the way, got into the game. I mean, if you ever know, just go to a CFL preseason game 1. It's hard to follow with all the players. Do you think they stuck to that script of who played when?
No.
Not even close.
Not at all.
That was my first introduction to how things work in the CFL preseason. So Wayne in Victoria says, I'm starting to miss CFL football with your talk of the simulation. I get, what are we supposed to not talk about it at all? I mean, we're trying to give you something to enjoy. That's all, because it's not up to us whether this league's going to play or when. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Cody has to play. Maybe he does. That's your opinion. Am I welcome to mine?
Yes.
Because they're trying to figure out who the third-string quarterback will be behind James Franklin and Cody Fajardo. So that's where I think the battle is. They already know Cody's the guy. What are you playing him for tonight? Don't worry about it. Sit him down.
We'll see.
The other thing, here's Nelson, who's going to actually do the simulation for me tonight. He says it's a home preseason game that people want to see Cody for at least a half. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's let the fans decide how to run the team. That's always worked great. I'd say he has some COVID rust on him and needs a half of football to get it rolling. I'm teasing him, of course.
Yeah.
But, see, we've ignited a quarterback controversy in a preseason computer simulation.
That way I got to look at
that is amazing.
It is, and I also got an answer as to who Drew Brown was. How about that, eh? Oklahoma State's backup the last 2 years. Well, maybe.
Katie's watching. She says, this helps. I look forward to taking Skyler to another Riders game. Dean Barton says the next best thing to Rider football is frenzy, talking about anything.
Oh, Deanie boy, how are you?
I couldn't agree more. Jeff Reinbold says to say hi, by the way, Lynch.
Yeah,
he said he particularly enjoys Football Fridays with you.
Love him.
We got hung up on the first 2 points, and that's fine because it is a Football Friday. But point 3 of the Quick 6 show topics here. We'll get through them real quick and then take a break and come back with a rash. NBA's coming back. They voted. They agreed. The owners and players yesterday, 29-1 was the vote. The Trailblazers were the only team that didn't agree to come back and play, and that's fine because I don't think they're going to be playing anyways. July 31st, the NBA will come back, finish their regular season, and start the playoffs. Point 4, ESPN's Max Kellerman comments on the NHL yesterday saying nobody cares about the NHL in the United States. Do you know who Max Kellerman is, Lynch?
Nope.
Exactly. Point 5, Major League Baseball emphatically rejecting the owner's offer. Our poll question today is, if there's no MLB in 2020, will you miss it? Last I looked, for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center, the vote on Twitter was around 50-50. Do you guys have the Facebook vote results? You don't got to throw there. Oh, can you zoom in? 70% say not really. Put me in the not really. I got an SJHL draft to worry about today. I've spent all week talking to scouts and GMs, parents and players for hockey. Obviously, I'd miss the CFL. I wouldn't really miss Major League Baseball. So you guys better get it figured out. And point 6 was the SJHL draft today. We'll talk about that a little later on. Yesterday's rock star of the day, by the way, was Rich Sutter. The poll winner yesterday for how much money would you contribute to a CFL aid fundraiser, GoFundMe. It was the leading vote was $1 to $100. How generous of you. One game ticket. Here's the thing. The CFL needs a lot of money to survive,
right?
Because their business model's gotten so big that just any old fundraiser isn't going to help. They need a lot of money.
That's right.
And so the problem is they don't have a lot of money. That's the number one problem in a nutshell with the CFL.
That's right.
Arash Madani coming up. Mike Kelly, Morley Scott, and Milt Siegel. It's the Rod Pedersen Show's Football Friday. Facebook Live, Game Plus TV Network, and listen live at rodpedersen.com.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.